This is a KOAT Action 7 News Commitment 2020 debate special.
Welcome to this Commitment 2020 political debate. Good afternoon. I'm Doug Fernandez.
And I'm Shelby Cashman. KOAT and the Albuquerque Journal have partnered this political season to allow you to hear directly from candidates running for important offices in our state. For the first time and the only time on television, the incumbent trying to keep her seat and the Republican challenger will face off in a debate. The candidates are Republican Michelle Garcia Holmes and Democrat Deb Haaland.
New Mexico has 3 congressional districts. These candidates are running in the 1st district. It's in the middle of our state, representing Albuquerque and some of the rural areas surrounding the city. For the next half hour, we will hear from both candidates. Now, here are the rules. I'll be moderating and asking questions along with KOAT anchor Shelby Cashman and Kent Waltz, the senior editor at the Albuquerque Journal. You'll hear opening and closing statements. Those are 2 minutes. Now, when a panelist asks a question, the candidate has 90 seconds to answer, and 1-minute rebuttals are permitted. The questions come from our editorial committee at Action 7 News and the Albuquerque Journal. You're also going to hear the candidates ask each other a question. There's 1 minute allowed for the answer, and the person asking it will get an automatic 30-second rebuttal. The results of a hat draw have the incumbent Deb Haaland going first with opening statements. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be with you today. I'm Deb Haaland, a 35th generation New Mexican and a very proud resident of Albuquerque. And 2 years ago, the voters of New Mexico made history when they sent me to Congress as one of the first Native American women to serve in Congress. Since then, I've worked tirelessly to ensure that I am fighting for the people of this district in the areas of healthcare, the economy, the environment, and in a bipartisan way. I was very proud that my Chaco Canyon bill to protect a 10-mile radius around our beloved Chaco Canyon was bipartisan. I am very proud also of the fact that as a member of the House Armed Services Committee, that I have twice passed the National Defense Authorization Act in a bipartisan way. Every day I wake up and go to work because I know that the people of this district depend on quality representation, and I will never stop fighting for the people of New Mexico. I'm a proud single mom. I raised my daughter as a single mom, so I know what it's like to struggle. I know that New Mexicans are struggling right now during this COVID crisis, and we are currently working as hard as we can because we know that New Mexico needs the help for another stimulus package. I appreciate the opportunity to talk directly to you today and ask for your vote for another term. I thank you so much and would be honored to have your support early or on November 3rd.
Michelle Garcia Holmes, you also have 2 minutes for your opening statements.
Hi, I'm Michelle Garcia Holmes, and I'm running to defeat Deb Haaland in November. You know, I'm just tired of being 50th in everything bad and not number 1 in everything good. You know, we've got to make a good change here for New Mexico, and it's time to make that change and vote this year for something different. You know, we've been under 90 years of Democrat leadership and representation, and we don't seem to be moving forward. I've lived all my life here. I raised my kids here. I've raised 5 children here. I'm married to my husband, Earl Holmes. I served in law enforcement for 20 years with the Albuquerque Police Department. When I finished my career with the police department, I retired out of crimes against children. After I retired out of crimes against children, I became the chief of staff for the New Mexico Attorney General's office under the King administration. I got to work on so many things at the Attorney General's office, and I'm really proud of my record there. I helped pass the first human trafficking bill. I started a statewide government corruption division. And I think New Mexico has so many needs. We've got to work on education. Our kids right now, 25% of them do not have access to broadband. You know, we have to recognize that and recognize that the leadership we've had has made promises to New Mexicans to fight crime, to get us broadband, to diversify our economy, and none of that has happened. We still are very dependent upon the oil and gas industry, which isn't a bad thing. They supply 39% of our revenue for our education system, but we can do better. And I ask for your vote in November. Thank you.
Now we move into questions from our panel, and we begin with the topic impacting everyone, the coronavirus pandemic. Shelby, you asked the first question.
Thanks, Doug. So the Restaurant Association recently pleaded with the governor to increase capacity for indoor dining because so many restaurants are failing under the current health order. What do you think needs to be done to help both restaurants and other struggling businesses, and how should Congress help?
Congresswoman Haaland, you go first.
Thank you so much. And yes, our economy needs to get back. This coronavirus has been devastating to small businesses across the district and across New Mexico. And look, that's why I worked very hard to help pass the CARES Act. The CARES Act brought millions of dollars to New Mexico for PPE to make sure that our frontline workers are safe. And we need to pass another stimulus package right now. Unemployment insurance can't wait. We need to make sure that workers right now who aren't able to clock in at a job every day have the safety net they need to pay their rent and to buy food for their children. We absolutely need to reopen, but we have to do it in a safe way. We can do that as citizens of the state by wearing our masks, by following the orders of the doctors, social distancing, washing our hands. This virus is not going to go away, as Donald Trump says, miraculously. It's going to take a lot of hard work from our community to make sure that we are doing everything, taking every safety precaution that the doctors say. In the meantime, we will continue to work in Congress to make sure that a next stimulus package, which we need so bad, is being held up by the Republicans in the Senate, can pass so that the small businesses and the workers of New Mexico have the support that they need.
Ms. Garcia-Holmes, your reply.
You know, Congress right now is at a stalemate. They couldn't come to an agreement to get the necessary help for New Mexicans and for Americans across the country. COVID-19 has been so horrendously detrimental for our state. Our restaurants are struggling. There was no emergency preparedness plan. Our Congress people in office knew about the coronavirus, could have worked with our governor, could have worked with our mayors, could have worked in their districts to help them develop an emergency preparedness plan, especially now that we know more about COVID and how it affects people and, you know, the needs that we have for PPE, ventilators. We need a stimulus package for New Mexico. The first stimulus package was very good. It came in and it helped people, it helped our business community. But right now, because we have leadership that's not allowing businesses to fully open, we are going to lose 30% of our restaurants, 30% more. We've already lost a huge amount of our restaurant industry and business industry. You know, New Mexico suffers from a lack of opportunity. And when I go to Congress, I'm going to open up the doors for opportunity.
Staying on the coronavirus, Kent Waltz has the next question. Kent.
We are seeing the number of positive cases in New Mexico and rise, and some experts believe we're in for a second spike nationwide. What actions would you favor if there is a second wave of cases before we have an effective and widely available vaccine?
Ms. Garcia-Holmes, you go first this time.
You know, it's just like I said, I don't believe we had an effective emergency management plan, and that should have been one of the first things that we did. We should be collaborating, the governor should have been collaborating with the mayors. Every mayor knew their city, knows what, has their finger on the pulse of their city. We should have developed an emergency management plan. And in Congress, they had more information, so they could have funneled down that information and worked collaboratively to develop an emergency management plan. And right now, you know, we're still suffering from people testing every day. My heart goes out to the families who have lost loved ones throughout this whole pandemic that we've been going through. But you know what? We have to take action, and we also have to get our businesses open and people back to work. I'm thinking that we need to jump right into it, develop a good plan that we can funnel down to our business community, work with our medical professionals so that we can make sure that if we do have a spike in corona, that we're prepared and we're ready. You know, the stalemate in Congress and people not working together, that to me is the biggest problem that I see right now. We need to get people working together.
Ms. Haaland, your reply.
Thank you so much for the question. The first thing we absolutely need to do is listen to the scientists. We have to follow the science in this terrible, terrible pandemic. We also need to implore the Senate Republicans to come to the table and finish a deal. Speaker Pelosi and Secretary Mnuchin agreed to a framework on the next stimulus package. However, when they were ready to start filling out the details, President Trump got on his Twitter account and called off the negotiations. I don't think that's a way to move forward to combat this terrible virus. We also would like to remind the voters of this district that we passed the HEROES Act 2 months ago, and that had funding for testing, for treatment. It had funding for PPE for our elementary schools, for our public schools all over the state. And it also had money to make sure that state and local governments had the resources they need to keep paying our police officers, to keep paying our firemen. We absolutely need to pass a stimulus package, and I implore the Senate Republicans to come to the table and make sure that gets done. Until then, it's on us as citizens of this state to ensure that we are following all the guidelines. Wear your mask when you're out, wash your hands, social distance. That bears repeating every single time, because we have an obligation to make sure that we are keeping our neighbors safe.
Candidates, New Mexico consistently ranks among the lowest in education. Many fear the pandemic will only make the situation much worse. How will you ensure all of the children are getting access to the resources they desperately need to not fall behind? Ms. Holland, you go first.
Thank you so much. So yes, as I mentioned earlier, the HEROES Act that we passed 2 months ago, it had provisions for emergency broadband to make sure that public schools had the funding they needed for PPE and all the things. Look, our teachers are frontline workers, our janitors, our cafeteria workers. We need to make sure that our educators are safe as our children are. And yes, I have been fighting for access to broadband for our rural communities since I've been in Congress. We've introduced a number of bills, emergency broadband bills. I've introduced a bill to make sure that tribes have an opportunity to extend the FCC deadline to be able to access spectrum licenses. There is so much that we are doing. It's unfortunate that the Republicans have stopped short of coming to an agreement on the next stimulus package. Part of keeping our kids safe is making sure that parents also have the resources they need. Right now, we're facing an eviction crisis across the country, and that's because folks without jobs are worried about their next paycheck, their next rent payment, and that can be helped with this stimulus package. And I hope that we can keep moving and get that done.
Ms. Garcia Holmes.
No, I really think my opponent needs to be honest about the stimulus package. It had tax breaks for the very wealthy in New York and California. And it's no wonder the package didn't make it through the Senate and didn't pass. It also had breaks for inmates and prisoners to be released. When you're trying to pass a stimulus package, you need to make it laser focused on what's going to help our business community and our people here on the ground. You need to work in Congress in a bipartisan fashion. I don't see that we're doing that right now with the elected that we have in Congress that represent New Mexico. I really feel like we should have had broadband across our state years ago, folks. They've been making promises. You've seen their literature. You've seen them talk about it on the debate platform. You've heard them say it when they were running. I just truly believe that they get to Washington and they speak one way, and then they get back to New Mexico and they speak another. We need broadband for our kids. We have 25% of those kids don't have access to broadband, and another 18% don't have a device that they can utilize to go back to school. So I'm going to seek funding for education. I'm going to work hard to diversify our economy so we're not so dependent on gas and oil, so we can have money for the future for our children
Time
and
is
our
up.
grandchildren.
The debate rules agreed to by both campaigns allow for questions directed to only one candidate. Shelby has the next question for Deb Haaland.
Congresswoman Haaland, you have been very critical of President Trump's response to the coronavirus pandemic and how he, quote, failed to address the COVID-19 crisis. How specifically do you feel his leadership failed, and what do you feel Democrats would have done differently?
You have 90 seconds.
Thank you so much for that important question. Well, let's think back to when we first found out that the coronavirus started infecting people in our country. President Trump called it a Democratic hoax. As it turns out, it's a deadly virus. It was not a Democratic hoax. And I think he knows that now more than anyone because he contracted the disease. It's so unfortunate that without the leadership, he hasn't been a good role model for one thing. If everybody would wear masks, the scientists predicted that 100,000 fewer people would have died. As it is, President Trump and his failed leadership has caused over 200,000 deaths across the country. Everybody was scrambling to find the ventilators, to find the hospital bed space. And with respect to the stimulus packages that I'm talking about, it's unfortunate that we have a president who leads through Twitter. He failed to include Democrats as part of a coalition of folks who would sit down and talk about how we're going to weather this storm. Joe Biden has a plan for the pandemic. He will implement that plan as soon as he gets into office on January 21st when he's inaugurated. Part of that plan will include robust testing and absolutely include treatment for everyone who has contracted the disease.
Switching to a topic impacting Albuquerque, Kent Waltz has our next question.
The 1st Congressional District represents the largest city in New Mexico. In the wake of the death of George Floyd, the police department in Albuquerque began making plans to restructure how officers respond or don't respond in certain situations. What role, if any, do you believe Congress should play in police reform?
Ms. Haaland, you go first.
Thank you so much. And we have faced a reckoning in our country since the death of George Floyd, since the death of Breonna Taylor, and since the deaths of so many other Black Americans on the streets of our cities. And I am really happy that the Albuquerque Police Department recognizes that the changes to its department will absolutely help to save lives, help to give people the confidence that they need in our police department. I am so supportive of the community policing model. I've had opportunities to walk with the Albuquerque police on their beat for the ECHO program. The ECHO program is a very successful program right here in our beautiful city of Albuquerque that helps to make sure that folks are getting the services they need. Not everything is about crime. Not everything is about throwing someone in jail. It's about making sure that folks are connected to the services they need so that they can find better lives to lead. And I think that Congress's role is to make sure that we continue to send funding to our cities, to our police departments, to make sure that they can purchase the body cams that they need, that they can purchase the PPE that they need. And in fact, right now, the coronavirus is the biggest killer of police across the country. And that's why I worked extremely hard to make sure that Albuquerque Police Department had the PPE that they need so that they can protect their own lives.
Time is up. Ms. Garcia Holmes.
You know, we really need to increase training for law enforcement. It doesn't help that Albuquerque is a sanctuary city. That just has deterred us from getting so much federal funding that we could be using for training and equipment to help law enforcement, even PPE, and even help law enforcement do their job. I believe we need to have a national registry. I graduated the police academy in 1984 and retired in 2003. And when I worked there, we actually had a community policing program, and I also worked in recruiting. So I understand a lot of the needs that we have to do for police reform. But I'm just really upset with my opponent, and I'm sure you all have seen my commercial out there. She voted to defund Operation Legend, Operation Relentless Pursuit. And how can someone vote to defund law enforcement coming to help us apprehend the worst of criminals? You know, Jacqueline Vigil was shot in her driveway, and 1 week after Operation Legend was funded, Luis Telemontes was taken into custody. We have to make sure we have adequate funding to fight crime. Albuquerque is nearly fourth in the national average for violent crime. We've had 80 homicides last year. We're well on our way to hit that number.
Your time is up. Thank you for that reply.
Yeah.
What is your view on the use of federal law enforcement officers, such as in Operation Legend, in which additional officers were sent to Albuquerque to help crack down on crime? Ms. Garcia Holmes, you go first.
Well, then I can finish my sentence. You know, being that we're fourth in the national average for violent crime, this funding is very much needed for Albuquerque and for this district. You know, Holland has represented this district and voted to defund Operation Legend and Operation Relentless Pursuit. I mean, I find that egregious, especially when we suffer with high child abuse rates, drug trafficking, human trafficking. You know, we should be working in Congress, or our representatives should be working in Congress to seek funding, more funding for human trafficking, to combat human trafficking, to combat drug trafficking, to secure our border. You know, I find it egregious when you try to defund police, when we need more help and more money. And those 20 special agents that came here, my opponent insulted the whole process, insulted the law enforcement agents. I really think she has a deep hatred for law enforcement. And it's sad to see that, because we're high in crime. And when you're high in crime, you cannot have a thriving economy. We've seen that in New Mexico. I've been endorsed by the Albuquerque Police Officers Association, and I'm very proud to accept their endorsement, because they know I will work on crime and fight crime in our city. Thank you.
Ms. Holland, two things. First of all, your reply, but you also have a 30-second rebuttal opportunity because you were referred to by your opponent by your name. Go ahead, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, let me first say that when the federal attorney called me about Operation Legend, it was coming off the heels of all of the visuals that we saw from Portland, Oregon, where federal officers went into that city with combat uniforms, dark glasses, and helmets in unmarked vans, picked people off of the street, put them in these unmarked vans, and drove away. These were all videos that were taken by bystanders who were fearful. And the whole country was fearful of that idea. It also comes on the heels of when President Trump broke up a peaceful protest, and it was peaceful, in Lafayette Park with tear gas. And sad to say, National Park Police abusing the media, the journalists who were there. And so it's no surprise that so many people were worried. All the calls I got from my office, people were extremely worried about Operation Legend. So of course, I wanted to make sure that people's human rights and civil rights weren't going to be violated. We also have had experience in the past with federal officers racially profiling people, and that isn't right either. So I wanted to make sure that this operation didn't violate people's rights, and to quell the fears of the people of my district who were calling my office every day about this issue. I like to say one thing about sanctuary cities. I am proud of our city of Albuquerque. Mayor Keller has done an excellent job, and I think all of us as citizens of this city, we don't want to see families torn apart. And that's what the Trump administration immigration policy does. It has torn families apart, and it isn't good for our children to see that. So sanctuary cities, we deserve to have federal funding. We pay our taxes here. I certainly pay mine. I'm sure my opponent pays hers. The person who doesn't pay taxes is the president. So the last thing I'll say is if human trafficking is the issue, caging children is not the answer.
Now, Ms. Holland was given an additional 1 minute for her rebuttal because I misspoke earlier and said she had 30 seconds, but she did have 1 minute. Now, our next question from our panel is directed to Ms. Garcia Holmes from Shelby Cashman.
And Ms. Garcia Holmes, you've kind of been touching on this a little bit, but you have that background in criminal justice, and you recently tweeted that criminals, you won't be getting a pass on my watch. So what do you mean by that? And what do you think is specifically contributing to crime here? And then what do you think Congress can do about this?
Oh, we can do so much. Thank you for that question. You know, it's all about federal funding. And, you know, when I was with the New Mexico Attorney General's office, I worked on an anti-methamphetamine initiative. And I had to go back to Washington to work with our congressional delegation, worked with Senator Domenici, worked with Senator Bingaman. You know, I worked with both parties, as you can see, to bring back that precious funding to inform rural areas, you know, why were their chemicals being stolen? So what we were trying to do is tackle our methamphetamine problem. And it's so important for us in New Mexico to make sure we elect someone who's going to go to Washington, who's going to fight for funding. And Operation Legend and Operation Relentless Pursuit are not unusual operations for New Mexico. When I was in law enforcement back in the 90s, I worked with the U.S. Attorney's Office, the U.S. Marshal's Office, Homeland Security. We worked on this issue of gangs in New Mexico. So, you know, we've struggled with drug trafficking, gangs, now human trafficking, now violent crime, nearly fourth in the nation for violent crime. You know, we need to send someone to Washington who's going to go over there and fight for you, New Mexico. I've done this in the past. When I worked at the legislature, 8 legislative sessions, I worked on bills.
Your allotted time has expired. Thank you. Our next question comes from Kent Waltz with the Albuquerque Journal. Kent.
Albuquerque made national headlines when a man was shot during a protest at a statue of Juan de Oñate in Old Town. Following the incident, the statue was removed, and so were others around the state. Albuquerque Public Schools are discussing whether to rename Kit Carson Elementary. What is your position on whether these historical monuments and memorials should be removed or renamed?
Ms. Holland, you go first.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much. And yes, that was such an unfortunate incident. And it was a sad call that I had to make when I spoke to the mother of the victim. Look, we're experiencing a reckoning in our country right now. The Black Lives Matter protests across the country that have brought attention to the racial inequalities across our country, it spilled right here into our district. And when the Oñate statue was removed, I reached out to the Hispanic community. I made sure that they knew that we value their culture and heritage in our state. Look, the Spanish came to New Mexico in the late 1500s. Yes, we have a tumultuous history, but we learned to live together. We intermarried, we share families, we share food. In fact, New Mexico food is a combination of Spanish and Pueblo Indian. And we learned to live together in such a way that we created a beautiful state, and we're all New Mexicans. I applaud the APS for working to make sure that our students know our full history. Some of our history isn't pretty, but it's really, we need to come together to heal so that we can have a better future for all of us.
Ms. Garcia Holmes.
Well, my great-great-grandfather came here from Spain. He came from Toledo, Spain, and became a rancher in the Pastura, Santa Rosa, Las Vegas area. And, you know, we go back generations. And yes, we have a history in New Mexico, but we've always been able to live peacefully here. And when we do have racial tensions, you know, I don't see why we can't come together and resolve those issues. And it's really sad that it's come to this. But bottom line, what it's really come to is this protesting across our country. And Antifa has been a horrendous force in our country. They are violent protesters. They break out windows. They burn cities down. We've all seen what's happened in Portland and Seattle, and it's just shameful. My opponent has not denounced Antifa. In fact, she calls them peaceful protesters. They have beaten an elderly couple in Seattle. They beat a journalist. You know, I think peaceful protesting is good, but when it comes to violent protesters like Antifa, we shouldn't be calling them peaceful protesters. When they protested downtown in our beautiful downtown area, broke windows, my opponent said in Washington that they were just random petty acts of vandalism. That's not right. That's not right, New Mexicans. Send me to Washington so I can fight for
And
you.
your time is up. And our debate rules allow for the candidates to ask each other 2 questions. Ms. Garcia-Holmes, please ask your first one. Now, Congressman Holland will have 1 minute to answer, and you get an automatic 30 seconds to respond. Go ahead.
Well, the question I want to ask is about qualified immunity. Congresswoman Deb Haaland co-sponsored the Justice and Policing Act, and she fought to take away an officer's qualified immunity. And Albuquerque Police Officers Association shared with me their survey. 83% of our law enforcement officers would leave to find other jobs if they lost their qualified immunity. This just opens the door for frivolous lawsuits, opens the door for civil liability, personal liability upon our officers. And so I know we can make improvements there, but why did you do that?
You have 1 minute to reply.
Thank you so much for the question. First, what I'll say is that what sparked the Justice and Policing Act was the George Floyd murder. And we all watched that on TV. Over 8 minutes, this black man on the street of Minneapolis, under the knee of a police officer. When people were screaming to please let him up, he said he couldn't breathe. These pictures and these videos have come all too familiar to people across the country. And it's unfortunate that that Black people are often the victims. When Breonna Taylor was shot to death in her apartment, in the middle of the night, she was sleeping, and they thought they were getting attacked by robbers. We need to make sure that what we're doing is all encompassing, to make sure that our police officers have the protection they need by using body cams and making sure that they're following the laws.
Your 1 minute is up. Ms. Garcia-Holmes, you have a 30-second rebuttal opportunity.
Well, I truly believe that our Congresswoman does not have the finger on the pulse of her district. If she did, she would understand that our police officers need to be defended, not defunded. They need to have the opportunity to do their job, and taking away qualified immunity prevents officers from doing their job. And we'd lose 83% of our law enforcement with that bill if she was able to get it through. But even Democrats voted against it because they knew it wasn't right.
Your time is up, and you now have your opportunity to ask your second question of your opponent. Ms. Garcia-Holmes, go ahead.
The second question I'd like to ask Congresswoman Haaland is, she was chairman of the Laguna Development Board, and right now I have an ad on the radio and have been endorsed by former governor of Laguna Pueblo, John Antonio. And during her tenure there as chairman of the Laguna Development Board, they worked a deal. And that deal lost Laguna Pueblo over $20 million that could have been used for the elders and children and to be focused elsewhere. But I want to ask her, is she willing to do something to recoup that funding for Laguna? And is she willing to apologize to the Pueblo for her reckless work while she was there during her chairmanship?
Ms. Haaland, you have 1 minute.
Ms. Holmes, thank you so much for the opportunity to set the record straight. I think it's very unfortunate that you didn't fact check. If you would have fact checked, you would know that I was no longer on the Laguna Development Corporation Board of Directors at the time that the project for the Louisiana Casino took place. I was already off the board for at least a year. By the time the deal fell through, it was about 15 months that I was off the board. And I think it's really unfortunate that you would induce a former governor of our Pueblo to be involved in these shenanigans. You misrepresented the facts. I think that's extremely unfortunate. As a candidate, you have an obligation to fact check, and I'm sorry that you didn't fact check.
30-second rebuttal opportunity.
I did fact check. I did a press release just yesterday and sent all the facts to the news media across our state. I have the facts at home. I'm happy to share them with you and email them to you. You were on the Laguna Development Board at the start of this discussion and when the contracts were drafted. So your denial of that is simply, disingenuous. We don't need to send someone to Congress who is going to be careless with funding.
Your half minute is up. Congresswoman, it's now your turn to ask your opponent your first question. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Ms. Holmes, during the Republican Party pre-primary convention, you gave a speech where you talked about the many hats that you've worn. And of course, one of those is that of a police officer. And I thank you for your service to our community. During your speech, you pulled a Make America Great Again hat from beneath the podium and you put it on and you said, but this is the most important hat I've ever worn. Why is your red MAGA hat the most important hat you've ever worn?
You have 1 minute to reply.
For the simple reason that hat says, Make America Great Again. You know what? I was born and raised here in New Mexico. I love America. I support our Constitution. I'm pro-Second Amendment. I'm pro-life. I love our religious freedom. We've got to make America great again. I know it's our president's slogan, but yes, I did latch onto it because I'm an American. We all are Americans, and we stand up for the red, white, and blue. It's something that means something to me. I would love for America to be the greatest country again in the nation. And right now under COVID, we have so many people struggling, trying to make a paycheck, trying to make ends meet. But I want to go to Washington to make America great again.
Congresswoman, rebuttal?
What I'll say is that America is not great again. And in the words of Joe Biden, we're sicker, we're poorer since this president has been in office. The economy is a disaster. He isn't keeping Americans safe from this terrible, terrible pandemic. And that's unfortunate, and why I am ready to go back to Washington and continue to fight for the people of this district.
Ms. Holland, you now have your opportunity to ask your second question of your opponent. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. And Ms. Holmes, what I'll ask is, because you have latched on to President Trump in such a very strong way, I'm just wondering if there is anything different that you would do. Since the president has shown us that he hasn't really had a plan for COVID, what would you do different than what the president is doing?
You have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Well, I disagree with you. I think if you spent more time in Washington, you would know that instead of helping Elizabeth Warren do politicking all across Idaho, Nevada. I can't even remember all the places you went to support Elizabeth Warren. And I really don't believe you want to go back to Congress. I think you were supporting her because you wanted another job. And I think it's really troubling that you don't know, you sit in Congress and you don't know how much our president did. I think he took fast action. He got us PPE. He tried to get stimulus packages through in a timely manner. He stopped travel from China, which was really helpful. And he worked on getting everyone ventilators. There's not one person who didn't get a ventilator when they needed one. So, you know what? Maybe if you spent more time in Washington in your 2 years, you'd know that.
Rebuttal?
Thank you so much. And look, I have been at every single vote. I've been at every single committee meeting. I am so proud. Representing the people of this 1st District of New Mexico has been the honor of my life. And I proudly go every day and defend our district and fight for the things that we need.
Our next question is directed to Michelle Garcia Holmes, and it comes from Shelby. Shelby.
Ms. Garcia Holmes, you have used the hashtag #VoteRed to save America in some of your tweets. So what exactly do you mean by that, and why does America need saving?
Your reply.
Well, I'm asking people to vote red, and I use that hashtag because I think we need to retire every Democrat in New Mexico. We've been under 90 years of Democrat-dominated leadership. Right now, we have Democrat-dominated leadership in our congressional delegation. There's no working across the aisle. But what I want you to imagine, a congressional delegation with myself and Mark Ronchetti there, also Yvette Harrell, also Alexis Johnson. What would New Mexico look like? What have you got to lose, New Mexico, to make that big of a change? We're all fighters. We all want to fight to make New Mexico better, support our industry, bring good paying jobs to New Mexico, increase our education opportunities for our kids. And you know what? I'm going to make a promise today. I promise broadband. I've had several phone calls with people, and I know exactly what's holding back broadband from New Mexico. And it's all putting politics above people. And that's just wrong, folks. You know, I've served this community in law enforcement. I served this community fighting for good legislation for New Mexico, having started that government corruption division. Trust me, I will go over there and clean things up because I think New Mexico is suffering from government corruption.
Congresswoman Holland, a question directed to you from Kent Waltz.
During the vice presidential debate, Kamala Harris did not answer a direct question about whether or not she would increase the number of Supreme Court justices if elected. What are your thoughts about the new nominee for the Supreme Court and the idea of expanding the number of justices on the court?
Thank you for the question. Of course, it was interesting that during the last year that President Obama was in office, 9 months before Election Day, the Republicans would not move to confirm his nominee to the Supreme Court. They said that we shouldn't have a confirmation during an election year. We are in an election right now. Thousands and thousands, millions of people have voted already across the country. This is the wrong time to have a confirmation hearing. Add to that 2 members of the Judiciary Committee have contracted COVID from a super spreader at the White House. This is not leadership. What I will say is no confirmation before inauguration. If the Senate Republicans are eager to make sure we're getting something through, they should get a stimulus package through because people are hurting right now. We need stimulus to make sure that working families, airline workers, students can get past this terrible health crisis. What I will say is, look, I'm not worried right now about packing the court or doing whatever it is. I'm worried about making sure that New Mexicans and Americans can live to see another day. Over 200,000 deaths from COVID in this country. And the president and the Senate Republicans are worried about pushing this SCOTUS pick through.
This question is for both candidates. Considering the context of Second Amendment rights, self-protection concerns, and centuries-old hunting traditions in our state, what is your position relative to gun safety initiatives such as red flag gun laws and gun rights? Ms. Garcia Holmes, you go first.
Well, I truly believe that our red flag laws are unconstitutional, and I think that'll be hashed out in the courts. But, you know, we've got to keep guns in the hands of law-abiding citizens. And I truly believe that we need to go after those who use guns in a violent crime, in a violent way. I believe in making those laws more harsh. You know, we suffer from violent crime in New Mexico, and we're a border state. We suffer with drug trafficking, and so much violence stems out of that, and human trafficking. But I'm pro Second Amendment. I truly believe this issue is going to be hashed out in the courts, and I'm endorsed by pro-gun women as well.
Ms. Holland, you have 90 seconds as well.
Thank you so much. First, I'll say I'm a Pueblo woman. We hunt. Hunting is a cultural activity, and from the time I was a young girl, I saw that. And I want every single gun owner to have their guns. Right? She's my opponent's right. The Second Amendment is a constitutional right. No one is asking to take people's guns away, but we should keep guns from getting into the hands of dangerous people. I was proud to support legislation in the Congress that would extend the wait time. We know that one mass shooter in a southern state, he had the wrong address on his application. And so he was able to get the gun before they were able to figure that part out. Too many students have lost their lives. Too many people have lost their lives. Our children should never leave for school afraid that a gunman is going to come into their school and kill them. Or people sitting in a theater or at a concert. Nobody should worry about that. And that's why I'm proud to have the support or be a certified candidate of Moms Demand Action. It's incumbent on us to make sure that we have guns, that we are protecting our children, and that gun safety is a #1 priority for every single American.
Our next question comes from Shelby Cashman. Shelby?
Well, the coronavirus pandemic has really revealed many of our tribal lands here in New Mexico lack basics like running water. What do you believe the federal government should do to address the serious and long-standing problems facing the Navajo Nation and other tribal lands?
Ms. Holland, you go first.
Thank you so much. And what this pandemic has done is it's highlighted the disparities of so many communities of color across the country. And the Navajo Nation there are so many people right now in the Navajo Nation without running water, or their water's polluted, or they're breathing toxic air because of methane that's leaking into the air from the gas and oil industry. Top that off with the fact that the U.S. government hasn't lived up to its trust responsibility to Indian tribes. We're about 11% of the population of Native Americans here in the state. At one time, we were over 50% of the positive cases. And that's why I worked to help pass the CARES Act, because that gave money directly to tribes, $8 billion. For tribes here in New Mexico and across the country, and also why I voted to pass the HEROES Act, which included $20 billion for tribes. We need to make sure that tribal governments have the resources they need. We also need to make sure, and both in the CARES Act and the HEROES Act, funding for the Indian Health Service was also present. There's not enough testing. We need broadband because members of tribes could access telehealth. There is so much we need to do, and I am fighting every single day for tribes to make sure that they have the resources that they need.
Ms. Garcia Holmes.
You know, I'm just going to say my opponent has voted against the Second Amendment. I just want to circle back to that. But to answer your question about the Navajo Nation, it's egregious that they have no running water, no electricity, no broadband. It's just unreal in this day and age. And when COVID hit, these families were suffering. They were suffering. And it's horrific that that's happening in this day and age. My opponent voted for the New Green Deal and the Keep It in the Ground Act, which took away good paying jobs from the Navajo Nation. And it's no wonder they're still suffering and being held back. There is a pipeline that is in progress, being built across the Navajo Nation. What I will do when I'm in Congress is I will ensure that that funding comes through. And I will work across the aisle to make sure that funding comes through. Because my opponent is so radical, she's unable to work across the aisle to get the funding and the help that the Navajo Nation needs. And I just really think it's egregious, because I think she's been very disingenuous in answering that question and not admitting she voted for the New Green Deal and the Keep It in the Ground Act, which kills jobs and education for New Mexico.
Albuquerque Journal senior editor Kent Waltz has our next question. Kent.
What are the most important actions Congress should take regarding people now living illegally in the United States? And what about those seeking to come here to this country in the future?
Ms. Garcia Holmes, you go first.
Well, I support the border wall because we are a border state, and I support legal immigration. We need immigration reform, though. We've got to look at our DACA young people. They have been held as a political tool. This should have been resolved ages ago. I don't understand what the holdup is other than there is no bipartisanship happening in Congress. Things are being stonewalled. We have to take care of those young people. Do you know, 25,000 of them helped us during the COVID crisis. They're still working in hospitals today. So this is an issue that's near and dear to my heart. They're one of the nurses that helped my mother recently is a DACA. And it just really troubles me that we have not been able to help these individuals. We need good immigration reform. We need a way that we can fast track things through immigration. You know, we have a big agricultural community here, and we need to work across party lines so that we can make sure that our needs are met in New Mexico, but at the same time that we're supporting that border wall and making sure that the bad actors aren't coming in to the United States and into our cities. And into
time is up. Ms. Holland, your reply?
Thank you so much. We absolutely need comprehensive immigration reform, of course. That would absolutely make sure that people could come here legally, of course. Banning people because of their religion, putting kids in cages, those are not immigration policies that work for our country. I want everyone to remember that we welcome people. We welcome people to our country. That's what the Statue of Liberty is all about. My great-grandparents came to this country in 1881 from Norway. So I understand that immigrants have always been welcome here. It's unfortunate that the Trump policy has actually hurt our universities. Foreign students are afraid to come to the United States right now. Trump has put these bans in place, and it has hurt our universities. That has hurt our bottom line, in essence. I absolutely support DACA recipients. I want to make sure that we do have a legislative fix to that. And I'm sure that once Joe Biden is in office, that we'll be able to get that done. Until then, I will fight every day to make sure that these brutal immigration policies are not implemented, that we are keeping people safe from human rights violations, and hope that we can ensure that we can pay attention to human rights.
Representative Holland went first in opening statements, which means Ms. Garcia Holmes, you start with the closings. You have 2 minutes. Go ahead, please.
Well, New Mexico, you have two choices, and you've heard the questions and you've heard the answers. You know, I've lived here all my life. I grew up on the west side of Albuquerque. I sat on my porch as a young girl, wondering what I would do, wondering what my future would be. I became a policewoman in Albuquerque, and I loved every minute of my job. I was a detective, working property crimes, working violent crimes, working child abuse cases. I've been in your homes. I've talked to you. You know, all I ever wanted to do was help people and help children in our community. You know, when I got my job at the Attorney General's office, I only would take that job if I could do the things that the Attorney General would let me do. And I worked for Attorney General King. You know, he let me work on child crimes. He let me pass tougher legislation on child abusers. He let me work on starting the first statewide government corruption division. I'm going to just let you know, when we started that government corruption, we had to work collaboratively with the FBI because we couldn't get a lot of our cases prosecuted at the state level. It was tough because of Democrat-dominated leadership. You know, it's time for a change, New Mexico. I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking you to send me to Washington. I'm a fighter. I have tenacity. I want to rescue New Mexico from all the bad things that have been happening. And I want to turn New Mexico around. This is a beautiful place to retire. We have so much opportunity here. We have the labs. We have our military base. We have the spaceport. You know, we are ripe for just bursting into a fabulous economy that can employ our children someday when they graduate so that they stay here. I want our children to stay here in New Mexico.
Time is up. Thank you, Ms. Holland. You also have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'm very honored and proud to be the Congresswoman for New Mexico's 1st Congressional District. I grew up in a military family. My dad was a 30-year career Marine. He met my mom when she was in the Navy at Treasure Island. I went to 13 public schools before I graduated from Highland High School right here in the Southeast Heights of Albuquerque. I raised my daughter as a single mom. She graduated from Albuquerque High, and she's also a Lobo. I go to work every single day, just like so many of you, to fight for New Mexicans and the things that I know that we need and deserve. We want every child to find success. We want a robust public education system that gives our children the tools that they can be successful in their later lives. I've co-sponsored and sponsored hundreds of bills in Congress, bills that would protect our veterans, bills that would support our active duty military service members, including ensuring that women have opportunities in active duty service so that they can attain those higher ranks. I have helped to pass legislation in the House for our LGBTQ community, the Equality Act, so they don't have to have discrimination when they're buying a house or adopting children. We've also passed legislation to protect our dreamers. On the other hand, my opponent, she misspoke. I have never said that I support Antifa. I have never said that Antifa was a peaceful organization. And she calls us radical. She calls the Democrats radical. I don't think that is a way to reach across the aisle. If you go into Congress thinking that your opponents are radical, that's not a way to get any work done. I want to remind the voters of New Mexico that early voting is happening right now. You can vote today, but I'd love to have your vote early or on November 3rd. Thank you so much.
To both candidates, thank you for your participation in our Commitment 2020 debates.
And to our partners at the Albuquerque Journal, thank you for your commitment to politics and making sure New Mexicans know as much as possible about the people they'll see on their ballot.
Remember, you are able to request absentee ballots now. The last day to request one is Tuesday, October 20th. In-person absentee voting is from October 6th through October 30th. Early voting runs from October 17th through October 31st, and of course, Election Day is November 3rd.
You can find all of those dates and the debate you just saw at KOAT.com and the Albuquerque Journal's website, abqjournal.com.
Thank you for joining us for our Commitment 2020 debate covering New Mexico's 1st Congressional District.